So welcome to 13 Minutes, Why Every Man Needs a Why. I am here in the studio with the famous Samantha Warren. Samantha, welcome.
Oh, thank you. Introducing me as famous.
You're an MC. We're here in Boulder. This is sort of an epicenter of kind of cool things. You have your own podcast. You have a brand company called Voice and Visibility. And that's what we're all about, really. As I thought about it, my podcast is about voice, helping men find their voice, and visibility, sharing it with the world, right? So who better to have in studio?
Oh, well, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here. It's going to be fun. Yeah. I know that.
Well, it's because you're fun. You have good energy. So here we go.
Thanks.
So I'll frame it up. Maybe some new listeners out there, certainly for you. 13 minutes, as you know, is based on the statistic that every 13 minutes in America, a man chooses to die by suicide. And I say choice because it is a choice. Maybe it's only a brief choice, but it's a choice. And so how do we combat that? By reclaiming choice. And that's really what this is about. Because my teacher and mentor, Viktor Frankl, he said, out of the Holocaust, this is the last of human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. And I like to have on people in this onto the show who have chosen their way, oftentimes diverging from the mainstream, but it's their way. And I've gotten to know you a bit over the past year or so. I'm in front of a woman who's chosen her way. So let's talk about that. What is Samantha Warren's way?
Yeah, well, I don't know if you know this part of my story, but I think the choosing started when I was at the lowest point in my life where I didn't want to be alive. And I don't think I had I don't know what the word is, bravery or whatever it was to actually take my own life, but I wanted to. And I remember I had finished grad school in architecture, and I was given a job right out of college from my grad school professor, and she offered me a full-time position without having to apply. And I very quickly moved up the ranks to project manager, and at like 25, they wanted to talk about giving me like a succession plan to take over the firm. And it was in the middle of downtown Boston with a very incredible client base. And I was just like, what? Like, what? Humbled, but also what? Like, I can't do this. And I think from the outside, it looked like the opportunity of a lifetime. And on paper, it was like, oh my God, you're 25, getting this huge, crazy thing. But inside, it was killing me. I was working 80-hour weeks, making barely $40,000 a year, living in a city with like almost $200K of student debt from going to grad school and college and paying it for myself. And I just remember working so hard to try to like make my boss proud and validate me and see me. And it just was never enough. And so I just got to this point of like, what the fuck am I doing, really? It's like, what am I doing?
Yeah. Viktor, or actually Kabbalah would call that the shattering.
Yeah.
Right? And shatterings are built into everything. And so the universe was a shattering. A birth is a shattering. And on the one side of it, there's a death. And on the other side of it, there's a birth. Yeah. And, we got to look at those shatterings and really take them seriously.
Yeah. I remember at the time, social media was a completely different place. And I remember just opening the notes section of my phone and just writing, like, I can't do this anymore. And at the time I had left organized religion, but I still had faith, but I just didn't know really what I believed in. And I remember being like, I can't do this anymore. God, please help me, or else this is not going to end well. Something like that. And I remember I was standing on the edge of the train tracks, about to get on the train in Boston, going back to my place in Cambridge. And when I got home that night, there was just this one specific night, I told my roommate, I was like, dude, I cannot do this anymore. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I can't do it anymore. But I need to work because I need money because I'm a poor college student. We're like, what? Or post-college student. And I just bawled my eyes out. And that was the first time I had really like cried in front of anyone and shared with anyone what was actually going on inside of me. Because I was the older sister. I was the responsible one. I was definitely like an old soul. I was just the one that always had it together. Oh, Sam's good. As a kid, I did the grades. I got all the awards, and so I had put all this pressure on myself to have it all together and have it all figured out. And turns out I didn't. And so I was definitely having an ego death in that moment. And I didn't know what that meant. And I didn't know how to handle it.
Sometimes I'll sit with a person and they tell me about the shattering, and it's an obvious shattering, right? They're down, they're out, they're broke, they're divorced, whatever it is. And people go, oh yeah, that's shattering. But sometimes people have this sort of identity shattering because all the outside stuff is so polished, is so perfect, is so well put together. And I think for that journey, that's a harder one because it doesn't have the red flags. It doesn't have the outward, I need some help here, right? And that's what you're describing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it took a lot of, like, I give my former self a lot of credit for coming out and saying something, because that felt like dying. Like, being vulnerable felt like dying, and sharing that I was struggling felt like dying. And I'm very, very grateful at the time. The man that I was dating, he was so encouraging of me to follow my passions at the time for fitness. And he's like, I had transformed my body. I had started working out and taking care of myself. I had lost weight, but I had also gotten really strong, and people started noticing, and they wanted my help as like a personal trainer, even though I wasn't a personal trainer. And he's like, you need to pursue this. Like, you're so good at it. People are so inspired by you. And I was like, what? No, like, are you serious? No way. And so he just kept pushing on me to believe in myself. And it was only because of him that I borrowed his belief in me and his courage in me to eventually leave that job and pursue the path of, which I didn't know, but doing my own thing, which was entrepreneurship. And that was a little over a decade ago. And
Wow.
I have not worked for anyone else since.
So what did people say? How did they respond when you went through this transformation?
Which part? The physical part? The leaving everything that I knew behind?
Probably you're walking away from what?
Yeah, like, I think my parents have always been very supportive of me because they knew I was going to achieve great things. My mom especially would always be like, Sammy, because that's what she'd call me growing up, Sammy, you're going to change the world one day. She would always say that to me. She just always had that little like spark in me. And so I think she instilled a lot of self-belief in me, even though I had a lot of self-esteem issues. I had self-confidence. I didn't always have self-esteem. And my dad was like, are you sure? Like, you do realize, like, you got all this student debt to pay. And I think he was really worried about me in many regards. And I think everyone around me, like, I was the first one of my friends to leave the, like, 9-to-5 world. I was the first person. I didn't know another single person that had done that. And it was terrifying. I can still, if I go back to that moment, I can still feel it in my body because I didn't have any examples. Social media wasn't being used that way to talk about what you could achieve, and no one was like sharing their public business journey. I wasn't even thinking about it as a business. I just felt like, well, I'm just going to do some freelance gig work, some design work, and that's what happened. And so I really did take a leap of faith, and then the net appeared, and I had to kind of talk myself off of the perpetual ledges to tell myself I wasn't going crazy and I could trust kind of like my inner knowing. But I just remember feeling I was still very scared, but I felt so free. And for whatever reason, some part of me trusted that. And I think it was with my boyfriend at the time, who really just kept telling me, like, it's going to be okay. Like, you're going to figure it out. And everyone's inspired by you. So just keep trusting that. And I was like freaking out, and he'd just keep encouraging me. And so in a way, he was kind of my first coach without the formalities of it. And if it wasn't for him, I definitely would not be here having that encouragement.
So I don't think most people think about entrepreneurism as spirituality, but the word, you probably know this, the word entrepreneur comes from intrep, which means into the unknown. And
I didn't know that, actually.
and it's, to me, that's what it being people like describe it as entrepreneur and all these kind of technical jargony things, but no, it's going into the unknown. And here's my thesis, that the first recorded entrepreneurs were in the Bible, Abraham and Sarah. They were called to go into the unknown. They had everything they needed, and then they move into this space of barrenness. And it was just this act of faith. And we like relegate faith to the church or the synagogue or whatever, because you said, you didn't have spiritual or formal religion at that point. But I would argue that you just described a spiritual journey. And I don't think enough entrepreneurs appreciate that.
I totally agree. In hindsight, I didn't have the language. Now, I think entrepreneurship's the most spiritual thing you can do. Like, it is a spiritual journey. You can't outgrow yourself. Like, you have to keep outgrowing yourself, and so it is a perpetual state of trust. I'm very much in that right now in business on a completely new level of like forging the unknown. And it was actually bringing me back to 2016 when I did leave and I didn't know what I was going to do. Like, all I knew is that I had secured a 3-month contract to do exhibition design and travel with this incredible artist all in Europe and be his like graphic designer, book designer, marketer, design, like just do all these things for him. I was like, okay, I have $10,000 and I didn't have savings. I didn't have a credit card. I didn't understand money. Like, I just was like, fuck it. I had nothing, nothing. And a lot of debt. And I just really trusted that it would all work out. And it always did. But what I will say is then there was I would ride the edge of what could be. And what I mean by that is like, I didn't have a plan. Like, I was so in trust, like probably maybe sometimes a little too much, where I didn't have my own internal safety and security. So I was perpetually always anxious. I will say that. Like, it always worked out, but I was always never really feeling fully safe.
Yeah.
And that was at the beginning. That was 10 years ago, you know? So it's definitely been a journey of creating that internal safety too. But
yeah, it's both. You know, if you go too much into look, if you go and jump out of an airplane without a parachute, you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? God, protect me.
Yeah. He's not going to just put his hand out. Like,
I give you a backpack. It's on there.
Yeah, exactly.
They're saying the Bedouins in Israel say, have faith in God and tie up your camels. Right? And
exactly.
that's to me the true entrepreneurial way is, yes, step into the unknown and tie up your camels. Do your part.
Right.
Bring your parachute.
Yeah.
Right? Because without it, and I've been on both sides of that, it's just anxiety ridden.
Yeah.
Always kind of, begging.
On edge.
And you become like scarcity and begging and pleading. And it's like that also then manifests.
For sure. Totally. So I think I had to find that balance, and I kept kind of swinging from both sides of the pendulum, like super trust and then super planning, and I need to know everything. And then I just actually voice noted one of my best friends maybe yesterday or the day before on my drive. And I get sometimes these like insights while I'm either driving or showering or running. It's always when I'm moving. And I was like, yo, I gotta tell you about this crazy like vision I just got. I'm like, I just got this vision of me being in so much flow with the universe right now in the way that I'm taking action, but also trusting. And it's like this DNA helix. And I'm like, when we are it's like the Kundalini, like this like life force that's like spinning, but it's not just us. It's like us and everything around us, if that makes sense. And so I was just trying to describe this visual, DNA helix thingy. And I'm like, this is what it feels like when you are riding the edge of your comfort zone, where it's like you're right at the edge, you're right over the comfort zone, but you're not so far out that you blast your nervous system and you can't function, And so I've coined this term called the discomfort zone, where you're right at the edge. You're edging life, if you want to go sexual. But like, it's like really just that edge of, can you stay in that place of trust and also making sure you're not moving too far outside of what you know, so that your body has some time to kind of like calibrate, if you build something new too fast, it can backfire and you can sabotage it because you can't really fully get behind it. And so I think I've had to take smaller steps than I would like to admit to have taken, because it takes time to get your body on board,
It does, and it's a really hard place. You can't maintain that place, right? It's It's not like you get there and I'm just going to park it here.
Yeah.
Right? It's then, I was told that planes are off course 95% of the time. They're just constantly readjusting.
Yeah.
And it's too much masculine, too much feminine, which is what you're describing, right?
Yeah.
And I got to find that helix kind of vibe. And that to me is also trust, that I will come back there. I've been there before. I will come back there before. Because when you're veering off, it feels like, holy shit. Right? Will I ever get back there?
Yeah. It's kind of wild. I've been recently reflecting on that shattering moment from a decade ago, because I was back in Rhode Island, which I went to school in Boston. And so anytime I'm on the East Coast,
Where'd you go?
To Wentworth
Nice.
as an institute of technology. And it's like really known for construction, engineering, and design. And anytime I'm back on the East Coast, I always just go back to who I was then. It's just, I think when I visit my parents and I'm back in that energy. And I had this moment of like, whoa, I am at such a different place in my life that it's almost unfathomable for me to think of what my life would be if I had stayed in that, or I don't know if I would be alive, but I just remember the internal emotional pain that I was experiencing and not knowing how to get out of that other than just leaving. And I guess just the gratitude that I feel like my boyfriend at the time, he was like an angel totally sent in my life. I just know it. Like I can see it in hindsight of like, oh, we met, sure, for us to be together, but he was here to totally, shift my life path because I was not supposed to end my life then. And I was not supposed to stay in that role. I had other things I was supposed to do. And just how much gratitude I had for the people that came into my life. And I listened to them, even if I didn't always believe them fully, but I listened and just said, okay, let's hope this works, and all the other people or experiences that have continued to kind of just keep unfolding and help me with the next step. Because it's like, we're not doing this by ourselves.
Yeah, it's so clear. Also why you do what you do now, right? Mm-hmm. Because I see a young woman, or you're describing a young woman who was finding her voice, right? And stepping out with the visibility kind of piece and owning it. And it takes time. That's one of the things that you just can't speed up. Like you need to marinate in it. You need to go through it. I just don't like people who teach what they truly haven't gone through, and you can feel it.
Yeah.
Right. So, working with you is, now that I hear that, it's really voice and visibility makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. It's funny is I got the name for the company when I was like on a hotel bed very casually. That was on like a business mastermind retreat thing. And me and one of my best friends were in the hotel room. And at the time I was like, just very burnt out from just coaching, like business coaching. Cause I was like, I can help people make a lot more money. Okay. But it felt like there wasn't a deeper why and like a deeper purpose. And I'm a deep bitch. I need to go deeper than that. It's like, I need more than just money. It's cool, but there's mission or purpose behind it. And so the name came in kind of like just out of nowhere. And I was like, what is this? Like, and my friend Bree, she was like, this is so you, Sam. Like, you are a speaker and a podcaster and you're so good at this stuff and you could totally help people. And I was like, what?
Yeah, but that's not voice. You're describing, voice comes from the Latin word vocare, which means calling, right? It's something primal.
Yes.
Because I hear a lot of podcasts, and that's a lot of voice noise talk, right?
Yeah.
You're talking about like expressing from the depths of the deep bitch.
Yes.
Out to the world. And that to me is voice. And we use the same word for too many things.
Yeah. Well, I agree. But it's kind of like that was the impetus for the name of the company, thinking surface level. Oh, it's going to be a podcast company. We're going to do podcast production. That's how it started. It was very simple. I've now had the company for 2 years. And what I've recognized is podcasting is the surface level part of what I actually do, which is helping people find their voice, own their voice, and use their voice. And that could be in a personal setting, in a relational setting, in a professional setting, on a stage, on a podcast. And I'm writing a book. And so the book, I'm not going to say the name, but it's around the voice and the stages of the voice. And that the last decade for me has been me finding my voice, using it, owning it, being seen in it, and starting to use it for leadership and to empower people, and then starting to be seen as maybe a voice in something, right? And but you can't not have a voice and try to be seen as a thought leader. Like, it doesn't work that way. You have to kind of go sequentially, or else you will collapse on yourself. And as I'm writing this book, I'm recognizing that the whole through line since that day, and since I was a kid, I can go and tell stories of this too, it has always been around using my voice. And that it is our superpower. Like, it is our access point, our leverage point, we are taking what's in here, or in here, and we are putting it out into the world. That's how we manifest. We speak it out loud. Opportunities, connection, everything we want comes from right here. And a lot of us, our voices have been shut off, or we don't know how to articulate, or we don't know how to communicate, or we don't know how to actually say how we feel. And so there's been this whole journey and discovery of me finding my voice. And that's the real mission of the company, is helping people feel, be seen and heard on every level.
Yeah, I think that second part of the mission, visibility, is something I grapple with. I was a rabbi for 19 years, and I give thousands of talks, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's so good," and I'm like, "I'm hiding in plain sight, right? I am not being vulnerable, right? I'm not being visible.
Yeah.
You don't see me. You hear my voice, but not my true voice, and I'm hiding."
Yeah.
Right. And it's so complicated because you can hide while using your voice.
100%. You hear it actually a lot when people are talking, but you zone out. Like there's a lot of, I'm a public speaker, and so I'm always studying other speakers and seeing who I really resonate with and who maybe just kind of falls flat, or like I don't really get much. They could be telling and teaching the most impactful things, but if I don't feel something, I'm kind of a little zoned out. And typically it's like what you said, the embodiment piece of, if there isn't resonance with what they're saying, it's almost like, if I could draw a diagram, but it's pretty much like when we are speaking, like the hiding in plain sight version of you who is speaking was probably speaking from your throat, which is actually not your true voice. Your true voice is from like your power center, like your gut. And there is a different tonality if you start listening to people's voices and where their pitch is. When people talk like this and they think that this is how we should talk, that is not your true voice. Actually, that's like really exhausting. Talking like,
I can honestly say I've never talked like that.
I'm sure you haven't. But women do this. It's a little more obvious with women just because of our range. But when we drop into our body, which is truth, which is resonance, and speak from lived experience, like I'm not thinking right now when I'm talking to you. It's just coming out of me because it's in my body. Like the memories, the stories, the experience. I'm not trying to teach something I don't know. But a lot of people do that, which is not, I don't encourage it. I think you should speak from experience and teach from embodiment. But I think the more you become a more powerful speaker, podcaster, whatever it is, person in your life, it could even just be in the context of your marriage. You could have better conversations when you actually say how you feel and what you think. Even if your mind is trying to tell you that sounded dumb, I shouldn't let her know I'm being so vulnerable. I can't believe I did that. It doesn't make me look professional. Fill in the blank.
Such a good point. So many good points. One of which is, this is why men struggle in relationships. A teacher of mine, Dr. Warren Farrell, is kind of the pioneer of the men's movement in the 80s. He wrote a book called Women Can't Hear What Men Can't Say.
What a great title.
Yeah, he's a pioneer. His book, The Myth of Male Power, is the definitive book. Anyways, that is part of the work of men's peer groups, because men can't also hear what you can't say. But you have now an environment to start working on that. I don't have to tell you, you've been with enough men, fathers, boyfriends, your husband, to know that they're not wired like women.
Yeah.
And we can get into that, but it starts with knowing what's going on inside of you so that you then can actually share it.
Yeah.
Right? Big step.
Yes. Yeah, I think as I'm writing this book, it's been really helpful for me to understand there's so much that goes into having a voice that we aren't trained how to have a voice. We're actually trained out of having a voice, most people.
You had a voice. You were screaming as a baby.
Right. Exactly. And we have all had experiences in our lives where we are told that either we need to quiet down, or we shouldn't speak up, or we don't be inappropriate. I remember specifically one of my core memories of being a kid. This is a little savage of me, but it's what happened. In in kindergarten, I was 5. I remember my teacher, she was teaching, I can't remember what it was. I'm going to have to ask my mom on this, but she was teaching a subject, and I had the audacity to think that I could teach the class better than her. And so I raised my hand and I asked her, if I could teach the class. And I said, because I think I can teach it better than you. And she obviously told me no. And I was like, but these kids don't understand. They're not understanding what you're saying, and they're zoned out. And I'm like, I could teach it in an engaging way.
Let me tell you about voice and visibility.
Yeah. Right. I'm like, I'm a mature 5-year-old.
I'm taking clients.
Yeah. And my mom used to always say, like, she's like, Sammy, you are very mature for a young kid. You would always converse with the adults. You were a top sales girl as a Girl Scout. Like, I just had elevated business instincts as a young kid, but I got in trouble, obviously, for doing that in front of her. And she tried to hold me back a grade. And my mom, bless my mom, she said to the teacher, we're not holding her back. That's not a reason to hold her back a grade. I understand maybe it wasn't the most appropriate thing to say out loud, but she's a leader. She's a leader. And so that story, I didn't remember that until I was like in my 20s when my mom told me. And it made my brain explode when I realized that I had always felt this, like I didn't fit in with my peers for whatever reason. And I just didn't feel like myself. I didn't even know what that really meant. But now being a leader and running a company and leading a team and being a speaker and all these things where you have a presence and you need to use your voice, I've recognized that I had so many stories around like being too loud, too much, too this, too bossy, too in charge, and that those are bad qualities. And I think everyone, whether they've had an experience like that, has moments in their childhood that are defining around their voice and how they express themselves. And then they never actually self-actualize because they have been living in a false identity. Yeah. And I became a very shy kid after that. I remember very distinctly it was almost like there was an off switch. I completely shut down because, of course, we're young. We want to get validation. We want to get love. We need to get our needs met. So I became somebody else, and I became very shy. My middle school, high school, even most of college, I was very shy. And I recently had somebody reach out to me from like middle school or high school, and she like saw my content. She's like, I just can't believe that the shy girl that I used to know is public speaking. And I kind of laughed. I was like, well, thanks. She's like, you're doing amazing. Congrats. And I said, thank you so much. And it made me laugh because I was like, I was actually never shy. As a kid, like before that happened, I was dancing in my living room and pretending to be on TV and speaking and using my voice. But there was these moments that shut it down. And I think we all have those moments.
Oh, for sure. Well, if you weren't sure about your Enneagram type, I don't know if you were you?
I think you did it for me. You told me I was a 3/7.
Oh no, you're a fucking 8.
Am I?
Yeah,
all right, well,
challenger, disruptor, right? I think, but the reason why I say that is because that's your superpower. That's your core nature. But then we start surviving. And we start putting away our superpower, our nature, and we start putting on top of it the 3, the achiever, the performer, the good girl, and whatever else. And so we have all of these within us, but it's getting back to that true you, whatever you want to call it, your soul. Yeah. That's one thing. And the other thing, there's so many things blasting me, which is, you've probably heard this before too. But I'm an 8 too, and I was always told you're too much, you're too intense.
Too intense.
And I just became the dumb kid. Like I just became the kind of, not the jock, but one of the bad boys.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but I just thought that would be mute me somehow. Yeah. And it wasn't until college when I started to say, you know what, I'm more than just the physicality and that stuff. I want to engage my mind. And so, people have said the same thing to me, like, you were such a fucking idiot in high school, and now you have these degrees, you're doing whatever else. And it's like, because I finally came out, I was visible.
Yes.
Right?
And you were visible for who you were, not visible for who you were trying to be. Right. It's like,
well, that's hiding in plain sight from like, I don't know, 10 years old to 21 years old, I was playing a part so that you couldn't see me.
Yeah.
And so finding your way back to your true voice, right? It's the work.
Totally. I think there's been so many things that have helped me do that. I do think podcasting has been one of them because it's
exposure. It's exposure therapy.
It is exposure therapy. I mean, I've been doing my show for 10 years. It's like I pretty much started it almost right when I left my life in architecture.
And so people can find it. It's voice and visibility. Yeah.
The show's called Own It.
Oh, own it.
Yeah,
That's right.
but you'll see the episode started in early 2018. So it was like a year, maybe a year and a half after I left my job. And I mean, if you go back and listen to episode 1, I will never get rid of that. It's so bad. Like, and not so bad as in I'm trying to judge myself. Like, the actual audio quality is so bad. Like, it was in my kitchen. I didn't have a mic. I was speaking into like Zoom and it was choppy, but somehow it had thousands of downloads. And I was like, what the hell? So, but the point I want to make is just like practicing using your voice is really the way to find your voice. Like,
That's such a big piece because I do this, but I see other people when I'm coaching these men do this. Perfection is the enemy of good. That was, I don't know, I forgot to say it, but because I see, especially men, hole up and make things perfect before they can share it, right? And sometimes,
which is like, what does that mean? Like, what is perfect?
Well, by the way, it becomes imperfect because you're trying to make it perfect, and it's worse, not better.
Right, 100%. Like, I don't like you because you're perfect.
Or I'm not going to get married because we don't have right? And it's like, at some point, it's entrepreneur. It's into the unknown. You got to step out into it.
Yeah.
And it's and I think the point is it's a defense mechanism. I'm hiding.
Yeah.
I'm in my cave.
Yeah.
I'm safe here.
This is why I don't trust people that like everything about everything that they portray online is so perfect, because I'm like, they're hiding something. Come on. Like, we have to see some raw expression and truth. And yeah, I think just after being in it for enough time, you start to see this is just a mask, and like, can we be real? And I think even to bring AI into the convo, like, we are craving the raw human genuine connection more than ever, because people don't even know, is this real or is this AI?
But partially, I mean, back to the other point is that people, well, it was Legal Eagles. I forgot the movie, Jack Nicholson. You can't handle the truth.
Yeah.
Right? Because people might say they want the truth,
Yeah.
but they may not receive your truth. And that's a very challenging thing. I saw this come up with me after my father killed himself, and I started to share my struggles with depression, whatever. And I had a couple suicide attempts after I left being a rabbi. And I wouldn't say attempts, but certainly ideation. And I got so much pushback. Right? Like, you can't. No, it's not possible. Don't say that. And it's like, you're not receiving me.
Yeah.
And so then we can be the little girl in kindergarten who just packs it up and puts it away, or we can find our voice and visibility.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think it requires the people that you confide in to actually, like, you feel safe with them. Like, there's so many layers to this, but what I will say, if we're going to segue into men, that well, I think it's important because as a woman, especially with how insane feminism went, it's like, it was this hyper independence. We have it. We don't need no man. Okay, fine. I don't agree with the majority of the feminist conversation, but what I will say is that I think that women are very strong, very capable, all of these things. And also, we need to be able to share our emotions and feelings, whether it's with women or men. It doesn't matter. We're just with people and feel safe. And I was a very emotional, sensitive kid, as I think most of us in this world are. I think we're all sensitive, but
until we're not.
Yeah, until we get hardened. But I'm back to being my sensitive self, and or knowing when to be sensitive. And I remember my mom and dad saying, like, yeah, you just had a lot of emotions as a kid. You were just like really emotional. And now, as an adult, I'm like, well, duh. We all have a lot of emotions, like, of course. But I don't think that they knew how to handle me. And they didn't know how to, because they didn't know how to feel their feelings. So they kind of were just like, go in your room. Or like, I would just go in my room because I'm like, you guys don't get it. You don't even know how to help me. And part of me as a young kid kind of knew that. Like, I don't think they're going to be the ones to really guide me through these emotions.
That's scary.
100%.
Who's going to help me?
Exactly.
My own parents can't help me.
Yeah. So I felt very alone and very isolated and very confused. And that's probably where the depression and worthlessness and all that stuff came in, because I also felt alone in that front too. And fast forward to now, if it wasn't for Kurt, my husband, being also sensitive and being vulnerable about that, and allowing me to have my feelings without trying to fix them. He's had moments of trying to fix the feelings because
that's
every
a
man
given.
does, but he's gotten so good at just letting me have the experience I'm having and like hear it, you know? And that is a beautiful thing.
But also, there is a time and place to fix things.
For sure.
You know, I hate the term toxic masculinity because it's like toxic love. Well, then it's not love.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You've just
Yeah.
left love if
Yeah.
you're calling it toxic. You've left masculinity if you're calling it toxic. But we don't never say toxic femininity. But if you're going to be in for a penny, you got to be in for a pound. So toxic femininity, it doesn't exist. Of course it does. Visit a middle school.
Yeah.
That's fucking toxic femininity.
Yeah.
Because it's spinning and it's picking apart and it's destroying each other. And I've had girls go through this.
Yeah.
You went through this. And so there is that divine masculine of, okay, now we got to contain the feelings, harness them, use them, and not be used by them.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's a beautiful dance that we got to learn how to do.
Yeah. And I think as entrepreneurs, that's been a lot of the work that I probably have been doing in the last 3 to 4 years, is being able to like learn how to do that within myself, because also as a woman running a business, there's a lot of emotions. There's a lot more emotions once every month too. And it's like, oh my God, like one minute I want to burn the business down and kill everyone. And the next minute I'm on cloud 9 and I'm like, yeah, let's go.
You thought that was being a woman. That's being an 8.
It's all the things. And so I think being able to be emotionally intelligent and not even just that, but it's like self-aware, like really being self-aware and being able to harness it, like you said, and leverage the emotions, because there's some times where I just need to go cry, or I need to go run in the woods, or I need to channel that frustration into action, you know, and not just sit with it. And so it's like learning how to be with all of that on a daily basis for the rest of my life while running something and leading people that's a lot of the work. It's like managing yourself.
100% of the work. People invest in you, not the company, right? It's like, are you good?
Yeah. Yeah.
I've spent a lot of time, especially since I'm pivoting into the 13 Minutes mission, really getting myself good, solid, right? Before I go out there, because without that, the whole thing falls.
100%. That's okay. That is actually that's like, I think step 4 in my 7 steps of the voice. It's like you have to be able to hear your own inner voice. This is a sneak peek, and I don't have them nailed because it just came to me like 3 days ago.
Wait, this is like the first sneak peek?
Oh yeah, I've never said this on air.
Viral.
Yeah, this came to me like 1 a.m. the other day. I'm like, oh my God, I was getting ready for bed. I was up too late, but I was just in flow, and I was like, it's the stages of voice. Okay, cool. So it's like inner voice, and then there's a few others, and then it goes from inner like self-leadership to leading others. And you can't lead others until you can lead yourself. Like you can lead others if you're not leading yourself, but you're not good at it. Like people do it all the time. It's
You're faking it.
Yeah,
and that's not sustainable.
or just like nothing's getting done. Like people aren't actually moving forward, or the leadership's ineffective, or no one listens, or no one cares, and no one feels the leadership. A leadership is way more effective when the person leading is actually a leader. And in order to lead others and guide others, you have to be able to lead and guide yourself. So it is an insane amount of, self-awareness, self-trust, self-mastery, knowing how to get yourself to do things when you don't want to, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's that edge of you can still lead people even though you're working on yourself, because that's a forever thing. But I do believe there's some core parts to the inner voice that you have to master, so that no matter what gets thrown at you, you don't fall, you don't crumble, you know. And part of that is like shadow work. Part of that is accepting all the parts of you so that no one outside of you can say something about you without you collapsing, especially when you're in the public eye.
And especially because as an entrepreneur or anything in life, but you're going to get your ass handed to you. And if you're looking for external validation, right, and you don't have that internal validation, which is where your 7-part proprietary, don't use this anymore, step begin. Because without that, I've been through it, you'll crumble.
Yeah. And I think that I had tried to skip steps unknowingly, and it's almost like the last decade of my life has been me figuring this out without realizing it, and me feeling like, oh, I have a book in me, like what am I trying to say? And then starting to reveal itself of like, what's been the through line of the last 10 years of my life? And I was like, voice. It has been voice. It's been me finding it and changing my inner voice, because I was so miserable. I had so much self-hatred. I had so much self-judgment, self-criticism. I was such a perfectionist. I would pick myself apart. It was so toxic living in my head. And I didn't even realize it until I met Kurt, because he has such a healthy amount of self-love that I used to think that he was just complacent. But then I realized, no, he just isn't an asshole to himself. Wow, what a concept. And he would always, compliment me, and I would never receive it. And then I recognized, oh, why am I not receiving these compliments? Why am I not allowing myself what is that about? If he called me beautiful or called me anything, I'd be like, oh, I would hide.
But that's the visibility piece.
Exactly.
Right? Because it's not being out front. It's being, my favorite word is intimacy. And it's, Wayne Dyer says, intimacy. And I love that, because that's the whole work. Can I be seen and can I see?
Yeah.
And again, hiding in plain sight, tough veneer, or the polished image, and you're not seen.
Yeah. I think for most people, because I was reflecting on where have I grown the most with voice? Yes, practicing it and using it in context of client relationships or the mic, but it's been relationship, my most intimate relationships, which mostly has been Kurt and my family, in expressing myself or telling him, we'll just use Kurt, how I feel or what I want or what I need or what's not working, and not making myself wrong for that, and just being willing to have an open conversation. And I think that has allowed me to be more visible in regular life, in my career. Mm-hmm. And some people, it's maybe they don't do that, and they're just visible in their career, but then at home they feel invisible in their marriage. Mm-hmm. Or there's different areas where we feel invisible. But for me, the order of events was my most intimate relationship was the place where I allowed myself to be fully seen, because I felt safe there. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, I didn't feel safe in the public. And now it's taking that and using those skills more on a stage of however many people that are in the audience, and almost allowing myself to be seen. And it's still vulnerable. It's still an edge. It's still allowing parts of myself to be seen. Even my team, they're like, Sam, you could totally be more unhinged, And I'm like, what do you mean? And they were giving me some reflections. This was last week. We were filming the next season of my show, and they were making some reflections of me. And I was like, oh my God, you guys are right. You are so right. I was noticing moments or places where I was still performing a little. And it's just, we all do it, but without having a mirror. It's
a survival tactic.
Totally.
And you were the 6-year-old girl, not the 5-year-old girl, because the 5-year-old girl packed it up and put it away, and they said to you, beat the 5-year-old.
Yes.
We need some kindergarten.
Yes, yes.
In Hebrew, it's called chutzpah.
I love it. Sounds more fun than
chutzpah is shake shit up. And this is who I am. Take it or leave it. And,
yeah.
It's easy to say, but when the world shames you, scolds you, whatever, you pack it up, you put it away. Did you read the book, The 4 Agreements?
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. We make an agreement with ourselves, and then we believe it to be true.
Yeah.
And then you have to revisit those agreements and write new ones. And that's what I hear you did.
Yeah, totally. And I think now I'm much more comfortable being myself in every context. And I spoke recently at an event in Minnesota and emceed and keynoted it. And the group gave a bunch of incredible just testimonials of how the experience was. And the same kind of comments were made over and over again. Oh my God, I love Sam. She's so authentic. She's so genuine. And anytime I used to read that, I'd be like, what does that even mean? I don't understand what this word means. So authentic. What? I'm just being myself. And now I realize I do feel like that's the biggest compliment. And it's so humbling, because I'm like, wow, thanks guys. That's taken me 25 years to get to this place where I can actually be myself. And I really feel like that is what I want to, that's my life's mission, is empowering people to be themselves. And it could be in the context of getting a mission like yours out into the world and having it be seen, but doing it in a way that only you could do, in your voice and your expression, wearing your black shirt, whatever, or me with my neon yellow jacket and my fun earrings or whatever it is. But it's not that one expression is better than the other. There's just truth in both of them. And so not judging one as better or worse. It's more just like the only sustainable thing is being yourself. And it's like when we're building legacies, we don't have excess energy to just waste and burn. And so it's very efficient, actually, if we're thinking about it from the business perspective. It's very efficient to be yourself. And I think it creates way more resonance, way more magnetism, because it's who you're being.
It's true.
Yeah.
Right? You know, and you tell a lie and you got to keep it all together and weave it and remember who you told what and whatever. And it's like the truth is just, this is it. I don't have to remember anything. And then that translates into how we live our life. And that's what I call your why.
Yeah.
You know, people say to me they don't know their why. And it's not like it's a one and done and that's it, but there's a thread through your life. And you described it as the 5-year-old and she put it away, but it was still there. And now the 25-year-old, and it's still there. And that's always been there. That's the truth of Samantha Warren.
Yeah, I think for everyone listening too, it's like go back to your inner child. Like your inner child has a lot of wisdom. It might be a child and you might judge it or something, but there's a lot of wisdom there. And she knows what she's doing, or he knows what he's doing. And I think I hope that our conversation is more of a like permission slip for people to start to embrace more of who they are. There's this quote that I don't know who said it or if I heard it from someone and then made it a quote myself, but it's basically this concept of what we don't speak, we store. And I think about it like we're wearing this heavy backpack of things we've never said or things that are not true, but we're holding. And that weighs us down. And that can actually manifest as like physical weight or disease or any of these other things. But it also can hold us back from doing things because we feel like not ourselves.
Yes. And, you know, having kind of guided people out of this life at the end of life, there's nothing worse. In fact, I read a study that said almost all regrets or most regrets are not for things done, but for things not done. Right? And that's it. Right? You don't regret the entrepreneur. I mean, I have some regret about the 9 failed, startups, but I don't regret having set out to do that.
Like going for it.
Yeah. And I'd rather die having gone for it than having not gone for it and been the architect in Boston and, the safe, comfortable life that isn't yours.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's tragic.
It's very tragic. That makes me think of, and this is probably another kind of underlying through line is I read a study done by hospice. Maybe you're referring to this or maybe it's something else, but they interviewed people in hospice and asked them what their top regrets were. And so there's either a study or a book called The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. And it's profound and it really does help you be more present in your life because it's always like, I wish I told the people I love them. I wish I went for it. I wish I stopped working so much. I wish I didn't hold back how I felt. And it was all these like just so basic things. And I'm like, oh my God. But that study, when I learned about it, it actually did change my life because for whatever reason, I just told myself I don't want to get to the end of my life with regret. Like when I sometimes I'll make my clients do this, but I'm like, I make them write their own obituary because it's like very enlightening when you know how you want to be talked about at the end of your life. And then you can curate and design how you show up in your present day.
Well, I'll even double down on that because there's, in my opinion, nothing more tragic than a rabbi, a priest, a minister who didn't know you telling your story called a eulogy. That is tragedy. Write your own eulogy. And that's what you're talking about for multiple reasons, not the least of which is to get, clear-eyed and about your mortality, but also because it's your story.
Yeah.
Don't let anybody else tell your story, which is back to the voice and visibility.
It's like, it's so meta because it's like if you write your story and you actually let it play out, then you're not listening to other stories of other people. Like I was listening to the story of my 5th grade teacher who told me I needed to sit down. And okay, sure, I get it. Like I was misbehaving according to being in kindergarten, but like if I had listened to that forever, I might have gotten to the end of my life not actually stepping into the leadership that maybe I was born to step into.
For sure.
And so excavating those stories to be like, what are the untrue things or what are the things people have said about me or to me or just things that I've heard that I have made my truth and made my identity that isn't actually real.
Yeah, built those agreements and come to believe they're true, and then you revisit them. You know, when people say to me they're introverted, they're extroverted, I'm like, no, you're not. I mean, that's how you survive. That's a way to move through the world, but that's not who you are.
Yeah.
Right? You are, Viktor Frankl called the defiant power of the human spirit. And you can feel when somebody's living that spirit, and I can feel it in being in your presence. So thank you.
Of course. I feel the same for you.
Thank
I
you.
do.
Even though I wear all black.
Yeah, but that's you, you know? I mean, I do think this color would look good on your skin. I'm not as tan as you.
Every time I venture out into color, I end up back in black. So I'm just
Well, it's yours then.
AC/DC,
Yeah.
back in black.
It's also easy,
It's so easy. It's an honor and privilege to have you in my podcast studio and now into mine and Ariella's lives. We're so excited to, just watch you and this community grow and be a part of it. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me. This was such a fun convo, and thanks for letting me share my in-progress frameworks and voice. And it's fun to say it out loud to you. So I appreciate it.
You're seen. And go check out Samantha on podcasting. It's called Own It. And Voice and Visibility.
Yep.
The website.
Yep. Just voiceandvisibility.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
And this is the first, not the last.
Yay.
All right.
Thank you.